How's it going, guys? It's Paul Myers, licensed professional counselor, owner and lead therapist of Intentional Counseling. We are a group practice in Frisco. We specialize in mental health, and today I'm going to cover some childhood imprints that impact romantic relationships or a marriage. There is an amazing book called How We Love by Milan and Kay Yurkovich. Fantastic book. Recommended this book a lot to people, and I use it a lot. Some of the content of it in marriage counseling or when I'm talking to my clients about their relationship concerns and struggles, because I find it really relevant, really practical. So today I'm going to cover a highlight reel of one of the styles of the imprints in that book. So the book covers relationship styles, and so there are 6 of them. I'm just going to cover one of them today. I'll cover the rest of them in different videos, but today we're going to cover the Avoider Imprint style, which is, I find, really common, especially in men. And so we're going to go over the childhood environment that produces that style, as well as the symptoms of the style and the characteristics of that style, how do you know if you have it, and then how to resolve it as well, the solutions available, just as a quick summary. Okay? So, when we're talking about the avoider style, every style has a childhood environment that they grew up in. That would be this column I have here. I have it broken down. So this is the parenting column, the environment we had when we were children that creates the avoider style. Okay? So parents tend to be cold, or very, they feel like robot-like or emotionless. There's not a lot of range of expression. Abrasive, stoic even, it can be kind of neutral or reserved or flat affect, which means you're not sharing or showing a lot of feelings. That parents tend to be emotionally unavailable in these types of environments. There's really not a lot of emotional support. There's not really a lot of discussion of feelings or acknowledgement of feelings. A lot of the time it's quite the opposite, where feelings are punished. There's not a lot of dialogue or communication about emotion, or sometimes there's just not a lot of dialogue at all. Just not much open communication, not much discussion. Things are kind of swept under the rug, or everyone just kind of does their own thing and functions on their own, has their own lives, okay? And then the last aspect of this environment is parents can be emotionally minimizing. So some classic examples I've seen, I've covered emotional minimization in a different video, so if you want to dive more deeper into that, you could watch that video, emotional minimization versus validation. But being emotionally minimizing is mostly stuffing feelings down or punishing your kid for having feelings. Classic example would be, dry up your tears, or suck it up, or put a smile on your face and deal with it, or men don't cry, or go back to bed, or I'll give you something real to cry about, It's just downplaying people's feelings, downplaying your kids' emotions. That would be a good example, extreme examples of this, right? Where you actually punish your kid for having emotion. The parents aren't trying to do that. They probably think they're toughening their kid up, which is why most avoiders are men, because for whatever reasons, cultural, parents tend to be harder on boys and think that they need to be tougher and not have feelings. And so that's not a positive thing. That's actually detrimental. And so we're going to cover the symptoms now. So that's the parenting style. If you grew up that way, you identify with that, then you'll probably identify with some of these symptoms. And keep in mind, this is all in the context of how you relate to people in your specifically romantic relationships, but also sometimes in your friendships as well. So, symptoms of the avoider imprint. We have they're emotionally stunted. That's the first symptom. It's like you don't grow emotionally because you don't have that environment as a childhood to grow emotionally. So you learn to never deal with emotion. You just kind of shelve it and push it off. They're incongruent. Avoiders are incongruent. Incongruency means what you're feeling versus what you're expressing are two different things, right? I may be very angry deep down, but I'm not really sharing that anger. I'm really smiling, right? I'm faking it, basically. They're not trying to do that, it just happens naturally. Hyper-independence. Classic avoider symptom of being independent, not ever relying on other people, okay? They're being very self-sufficient, means I'll just take care of it myself. They don't want to give others the opportunity to help them or take care of anything. They want to do it themselves, right? Be very independent. Okay, which is fine when you're single, but really destructive in romantic relationships, because romantic relationships require interdependence, which means you rely on each other from time to time, and you carry the team from time to time, and you play off of each other, and you compromise, and you're a team. Versus the avoider wants to be independent and not have any reliance on anyone ever for anything. Avoiders tend to avoid and ignore emotion. They stuff it down, they suppress, they avoid, they discredit, they distract, they escape. That's how they deal and cope with emotion. They don't actually deal with it, they just kind of blow it off and tell themselves that it's not important and that doesn't need to be addressed. And that the problems will go away if I avoid it. Feelings equal weakness is more of a foundational philosophy that avoiders have. Again, it's subconscious, so they feel this way. If I have a feeling, they feel weak, they feel pathetic, they feel broken or defective or whatever, right? They tend to beat themselves up when they have emotions and they feel like they're being too hippie or too foo-foo, too soft, right? Okay, they tend to mock that a lot of the time. They tend to be emotionally insensitive, which because they don't deal with their own emotions, they definitely don't have emotional awareness of others. They can't even deal with their own stuff, let alone other people's feelings. So they're not trying to be insensitive, they just are. And then the anxiety comes with avoiders. Deep down, they're anxious and really they have anxiety about being open or tearing their walls down produces fear and anxiety for them. So they're never vulnerable. That's his next symptom. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to be open. They want to be guarded just by instinct. A lot of avoiders tend to be angry when other people need them because they project that self-sufficiency. I expect you to be equally as self-sufficient as me, and what's wrong with you that you're so needy? I'm not needy. I deal with everything on my own. And here you are, coming to me with your needs. That's very annoying. And so that's kind of like an avoider philosophy. They get frustrated when people need them or are too needy, and they tend to see that as a problem or weak, when the reality is that as human beings we have lots of needs, and that's normal, right? And that's okay in a relationship to meet each other's needs. Connection, the last symptom is connection equals rejection. So we just discussed how in the childhood environment, the parenting of the avoider, they're very emotionally minimizing, which usually this equals emotional rejection as a child. So as a child, you go to your parents with your feelings, you get rejected emotionally, and you develop this philosophy that being connected actually just ends up you getting hurt, which is a lot of the reason why they have these tendencies, okay? So you can see how the avoiders just kind of push away from being connected and can really put a wall in their relationships unintentionally, very subconscious, okay? So let's talk about some solutions. These are the good news. That's all the bad news over here. The good news is on this side. It's what to do about it if you relate to this style, or maybe the person you're in a relationship with has this style and relates to some of these symptoms. So let's talk about some solutions. We have solution number 1. If you're an avoider really needs to learn how to allow emotions. And not seeing emotions as bad and wrong or a flaw, but that they're just a part of life. Feelings aren't ever really wrong in and of themselves. Now, what you do with feelings can be wrong, but having the feeling is not wrong. And so what we're doing is we're allowing and acknowledging emotion. Avoiders don't want to do that. They want to stuff their feelings. They want to suppress their feelings. So we're just acknowledging that we have feelings and that, why do I have this feeling? And let me sit with that feeling for a little bit and really process the emotion as to where it comes from and why do I feel this way and what emotion am I feeling? they have a really hard time identifying feelings as an avoider. So it's a healthy skill to practice identifying feelings, allowing feelings, and not stuffing and resisting those feelings, okay? Solution number 2 is dealing with the emotions directly, okay? Avoiders want to just escape emotion and not deal with it. They dive themselves into work. They, pick up another job. They have 3 jobs. They work 80 hours, they stay late, or they, work out twice a day and just go to the gym and just, or just put a movie on or put on some television, and, that way they don't have to talk or be vulnerable or connect or even deal with anything. They just escape constantly. And so it's a constant natural instinct as avoiders to escape. So that's why dealing with emotions directly actually helps. So dealing with emotions directly would be discussing emotions, disclosing emotions to a close loved one or friend, being honest with yourself about that emotion, processing through that emotion, identifying it, and kind of working through some of those feelings openly with somebody you trust, right? Or a therapist in an ideal setting, okay? Solution number 3, practice vulnerability. Okay, vulnerability is super crucial for any romantic relationship to be successful. It's the only way to really be connected. I did cover vulnerability in another video if you want to check out the benefits of vulnerability video. But ultimately, vulnerability is good and positive. It deepens relationships, and we can actually meet our emotional needs better, as well as other needs, being vulnerable. So this is very anxiety producing for an avoider, because remember, connection equals rejection, okay? And being vulnerable means being weak and taking risk, okay? So practicing vulnerability shatters the fear and the ideology that you're going to get hurt if you're vulnerable. And in fact, when you are vulnerable, when you get a good result and it deepens your relationship and your needs are met, you actually have relief. It feels better, okay? Solution number 4 is allowing other people to help you and meet your needs. Avoiders don't want to rely on others. We discussed that, how they want to be self-sufficient. And so allowing another individual to try to help you out, try to meet your needs, is actually quite refreshing. It feels really good. Avoiders don't know what that feels like. It's, it's like a blind person that they've never been able to see, so they don't really know how beautiful flowers really are, so they're not really mourning the loss of how pretty flowers are. They've never experienced the beauty of a flower. And so avoiders are like that emotionally. They've never really experienced the beauty of having another individual meet your need and experiencing the relief and the positivity from that. So they don't even think that that's a possibility, nor are they even interested in that, right? Every avoider I've ever talked to always says, "Oh yeah, I don't need it. I don't need that. I'm good." In fact, most avoiders don't go to therapy. They don't think they need it, right? They don't want help from another person. They think that they're good. And every avoider I've ever met always minimizes their childhood as well. They say, it was great. Childhood was great. Totally normal, right? So they don't actually even acknowledge the dysfunction of their childhood. They have a hard time even acknowledging that. So allowing another individual to help you is really so pure and good. A good thing. In a romantic relationship, you have to rely on one another from time to time. You can't be on point 24/7. That's not realistic. Okay? So, next solution is creating a team mentality. Like I said, in romantic relationships, you're a team. You gotta play off each other. That's a healthy mentality to have. Even in non-romantic relationships, if it's just a friendship, that's a good thing. Because what's the point of having a friendship if you guys can't rely on each other and sharpen each other and make each other better, right? What's the point of having a friend if you can't call on them when you actually need help and you need support, right? So at the end of the day, a team mentality is awesome, and it's a good thing. Not self-sufficiency, not hyper-independence. This is not strength. Our culture thinks that independence and self-sufficiency is strength, when really it's just pride and denial, and that all people have needs and weaknesses and flaws, and that's okay. And where one person is strong, the team is better. It's just stronger, right? Okay? It's also biblical as well, that concept. Okay? Next, we have honesty and authenticity. Avoiders really don't like that. It's very hard. They're very walled off. So being honest and authentic is something they have to practice, and they have to work through some of that anxiety that they have, that's going to get triggered when they have to actually tear their walls down. Okay, very unnatural, but very healthy. So honesty and authenticity, always good. People respond much better to that. The next solution is feelings. It's a philosophy. Feelings equal connection. You have to have emotion in order to have connection. Okay? If I don't have emotion, I'm a robot. I mean, I'm not a human. And if I don't share feelings and I don't have feelings, I can't ever connect with anybody. It's like trying to have a relationship with a brick. You know, you can't get anywhere. There's just a wall there. Okay? And it kills the relationship. There's no water in your relationship garden. It just dies off with no connection. No emotion, no connection. So feelings are okay and they're good for connection. That's a good thing. The last thing is giving people a chance. Avoiders don't want to allow other people in. They just want to assume that they don't need people. They don't need help. They're good. They're self-sufficient. So try to give people a chance to help you out, meet your needs, support you, encourage you, connect with you. Just practice these things. It's not going to be natural, but the more you practice and it goes well, man, that's super healing, okay? And life-changing. And ultimately required if you want real, authentic, deep, genuine love in your life, which is the best thing available, okay? So that's it. That's the Avoider Imprint. That's all I have for you. If you relate to this at all, then hey, it's not too late. Seek therapy. These things can be worked through. These are totally, I see tons of avoiders in my office that come for marriage counseling. They're having relationship problems with their boyfriend or girlfriend. Super common. Don't beat yourself up about it. You can grow, you can be better. You don't have to be what you were, what you grew up with. These things don't have to define you. You can be who you want to be and have healthy relationships. All you gotta do is have enough humility to realize this whole self-sufficiency thing, that's just my pride and my denial, and it's okay to ask for help from time to time. It's actually quite a relief to get it as well, and really life-changing. So if you don't have a therapist, I would be honored to help you myself, or one of the trained therapists at our practice are available for in-person or virtual. Go to intentional-counseling.com and take a look. Please leave your comments below if you have any questions. We'd be happy to hear from you. That always helps us. And until next time, we're glad you stopped by. Take care.